We are live. We are live. Hello, hello, hello. Am I coming through loud and clear? Let me know in the comments. As always, it's a bit of a slow introduction, multiple introductions, multiple starts. Yeah, I just want to, I hate to start with like one person watching or no people watching. It says 5 people in the chat, which sounds positive. Is that right? If that's correct, that's fucking great, man. Um, Yeah, am I coming through loud and clear? If I'm coming through loud and clear, let me know. I should be. I haven't had no issues for a long time. So Will Smith hits Chris Rock. Yeah, yeah. I'll be getting to that, DJ. Don't worry. I will be getting to that. I feel like late to the party a little bit, discussing the whole Chris Rock situation. Make sure nobody sneaks up and slaps you down, Mike. Hopefully not. But Chris Rock did kind of put himself on, you know, showed that he kind of put his chin forward. He was asking for it in a way. I will get to that in a minute. I will get to the Chris Rock situation. It's been done to death, but obviously, it's something to talk. It is something that is. I mean, everybody in the world's talking about it. It is kind of a big deal, unfortunately. But I mean, it made the Oscars worthwhile because the Oscars aren't worth shit anymore. And it made the Oscars a talking point because the Oscars now are kind of pointless. Who actually watches? I mean, the viewing figures are down year on year, and I kind of think that like Ricky Gervais kind of put like the nail in the coffin to a point. With the Golden Globes a couple of years ago, like people are sick of hearing these elite, narcissistic scumbags preaching their views to everyone people who are struggling to make a living at the end of the day. And yeah, so I mean, I thought the whole thing was glorious. I mean, I think it was a little peek behind, the culture of Hollywood. It was like where you just occasionally get a glimpse in and see something that you don't not usually, um, you're never really allowed to see. But I mean, my God, I thought it was glorious. Jamie's in the chat. Was Jamie? Who bought Monjum's what's SmackDown? DJ, obviously, I've not acknowledged the chat yet. I apologise. James in the chat. DJ's in the chat. Dan's in the chat. Dan says, the sad thing is the instance took away from the worst person in the world driving my car and Coda, ultra great films. Yeah, the worst person in the world has been getting like every single review I've seen of that film has been like 5 stars, 9 out of 10. I think it's like Scandinavian as well. I mean, I'll probably watch it and go, I don't like it. Maybe, I know, okay. I need more killings. I need more stabbings and slashings. But yeah, I'm sure I probably would like it. I'm being sarcastic, I am not this. I try to move away from like this sort of like 2-dimensional slasher meathead. I just want people to get stabbed to death on screen all the time. I do like other type of films, but that is my favourite sort of genre. So Lauren's in the chat as well. What's up, Lauren? Loved your live stream last night, man. Really, really enjoyed your chat with Jess. I'll come back to that in a bit actually, because it was really, 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 really good chat. And at some point for me along in the chat, later on, which I thought was really, really like hit home. I don't want to mention it now because I'll get to it. I'll get to it in time. But yeah, really, 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 it was a really, really good talk with you and Jess and Jay, obviously as well. So I think I've covered most of the comments. I think a lot of people just saying hello to each other. Anthony's in the chat. What's up, Anthony? Oscars are so stuffy and bored. Yes, yeah, Anthony, yeah. They certainly are. You've nailed it there, man. So yeah, no live stream for me last week. I was in deepest, darkest Yorkshire. I did put a tweet out. It was There's going to be no live stream. Anybody who's been to Yorkshire, I mean, obviously Anthony, Sean will be aware of Yorkshire. Maybe not the American audience. Maybe your only reference point to Yorkshire would be, and I did put this in a tweet, is if anybody's seen, obviously everybody's seen American Werewolf in London. Before they go to London, they're in Yorkshire on the Yorkshire moors, and that's where they get attacked by the werewolf. Obviously, it's not actually Yorkshire. They filmed that scene in Wales, but it's beside the point. If you want to go somewhere creepy and like cut off and remote, go to Yorkshire. It's just, I mean, we stayed in a little village called Hawes, right in the middle of the Yorkshire Dales. It's got a church and a graveyard. And if Lorne's still watching, I mean, we did a live stream on Piz's Patreon stream the other week, and I don't think Piz got why I laughed. And I think you understood what I meant, but Piz was talking about like old gravestones in America. He was talking about like he visited the graveyard in America, and he said, "Oh, some of these gravestones were so old, they were like 200 years old." And I just laughed, and Piz didn't like understand the reason why I laughed. And I think Lorne, he understood why, and he understood that like in the UK and in Europe in general, 200 years old for a gravestone is nothing. I mean, you come to the UK, go to parts of Europe, you go to a church in England, some of the older churches, you've got gravestones from like the 1100s, the 1200s, hundreds of years before America was even built. And that's why I laughed. And I think Piz, I don't think Piz understood what I meant. I don't think Piz understood why I was laughing. But I think Lorne got it, because it's just like, it's like, I mean, America's a new country. I mean, it's a new country. It's nothing in America is. I mean, I love America. Don't get me wrong. I adore America. If I could move to America, I probably would. I'd probably move. I probably wouldn't be able to find the perfect location. I'd probably be looking for like Derry in 1958. For what I mean. That's kind of like, I'd be looking for that, like that sort of location. But yeah, America's like a new country. It's not old. There's nothing old in America, and it's funny when you hear like references as to something in America as being old, as in anything that was built by white men in America is not old. It's pretty new. But yeah, where I stayed, it was like deepest, darkest Yorkshire. Anybody seen American Werewolf in London? Yeah, that the moors or the where I know they didn't film it in Yorkshire, but that setting, it's remote, it's dark, it's cold, and it's a perfect setting for a horror movie. But that's where I was last week. That's why I didn't live stream. That's why I've not seen X up until tonight. I have seen it now. I'm just gonna go back because I've missed some of the chat. I've missed a fair bit of the chat actually. I'm trying to not click on the ones where it's people saying hello to each other, because a lot of people just like, I think Dancer is really good film from Norway. I think you're referring to the film I was just talking about. I will check it out, I'm just like Oscar films though, I just found them a lot of times a little bit pretentious. Oh God, no, we know Yorkshire from Peter Sutcliffe. Lorne knows his serial killers. Yes, your serial killers, Lorne. Yeah, Peter Sutcliffe, arguably our most famous serial killer. I think he killed 13 women, although he probably killed more. Obviously, not as many as your serial killers killed, because it's a smaller country, so it's more difficult to get away with that stuff. But yeah, he killed 13 women at least. He probably killed more. Yeah, but yeah, Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper, he is kind of like a big deal in England and Britain. sadly to say. He's kind of like one of our most famous exports. Not that he went, not that we exported him to go and kill in other countries, but he's after Jack the Ripper. He's kind of like our most famous serial killer. In the way, it's in the same way that, if you asked someone in Britain to name an American serial killer, they'd say Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is like Ted Bundy. Whoever you regard as your most famous serial killer, I would say if you think it's somebody other than Ted Bundy, then I would say you're mistaken, because Ted Bundy is known in Britain. Nobody knows. I mean, like I know John Wayne Gacy is, but nobody fucking knows who John Wayne Gacy is in England, apart from like girls into like this sort of shit. People know Ted Bundy and they know Jeffrey Dahmer. They're the big two. They are your two biggest serial killers worldwide. I mean, if anyone wants to dispute that, I would go happily dispute that, because anybody who says John Wayne Gacy or anybody other than like who two just mentioned, the only people know in the UK and probably around Europe is Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. They are the big two. John Wayne Gacy is probably like a low third place, and maybe it's just, it is what it is. I can't believe we're talking about it. David Berkowitz. Maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, he may have been known, but I think too much time's gone with David Berkowitz. I mean, obviously we had Summer of Sam in the late. I mean, they made that film in the late 90s about David Berkowitz, kind of about him, although it wasn't really about him. But yeah, I mean, in terms, it's Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. They're the big two. They're the OGs. They're the main guys, Wonderful. I'm joking. Just scumbags, absolute scumbags. But they are the two main guys. I've totally lost my track of thought now. What was I going to talk about? Okay. Let's talk about the Oscars. I'm not going to go into too much detail of the Oscars. We all know what happened. We all know it's an embarrassment. The Oscars has become a talking point for the first time in years because of Will Smith and Chris Rock. Nobody gives a damn about the Oscars anymore. I think that's one of the main reasons I wanted to bring up the Oscars as a talking point, is that who really gives a damn about the Oscars anymore? I mean, really, it's kind of after COVID. I think a lot of people took a lot of things into consideration and looked at life and maybe looked at these privileged, pampered A-listers and thought, "Fuck you! You're a bunch of pampered prima donnas who are totally out of touch with reality." And especially during COVID, when you had like Gal Gadot doing that awful Imagine song and in like 25-bedroom mansion, saying, I'm sorry, I can't go and act. I can't go to my coffee shops and have my Starbucks cafe. While there's people living, 45 floors up in a tower block who trying to like homeschool 5 kids. Yeah, you're not. Nobody feels any sympathy for you. You can't make a movie, so fucking what? I don't really want to see Wonder Woman 3. But the whole Oscars thing, I think when Ricky Gervais just destroyed Hollywood with the Golden Globe speech, which is, see, James, what's up, man? Oh, man. Good to see you on board, man. Really, really appreciate it, yeah. Ben's in the chat as well. Gal Gadot sings to me I mean, she can sing to me every day, Ben. But I don't really want to preach to me. If she wants to sing Imagine to me, just me and me one-to-one in the bedroom, fair enough. But don't go on like Telegram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever you're gonna do and put it out to like 5 million people and say how I'm so like look at me in my mansion. I'm so like I can't get out and act. Oh no, fuck off. Fucking do one. Yeah. The privileged fucking glitterati, you know, they can all fuck off as far as I'm concerned. The Oscars is done. As far as I'm concerned, the Oscars is done. Ricky Gervais destroyed Hollywood Elite 2 years ago, and they didn't read the memo. They're still out with the woke nonsense, the woke fucking garbage. You know, Ukraine flags in the fucking Twitter bios, and oh, you know, one of them was asking for the president of Ukraine to turn up at the Oscars and make a speech. Why? How is that going to make any difference? It's hardly like Vladimir Putin's going to be like, oh, well, that's it then. I give in because he's at the Oscars. It's bullshit. Fuck off. Fuck off with your woke bullshit. Fuck off with just utter nonsense. This is, I mean, at the end of the day, this slap to Chris Rock is probably the greatest thing that's happened to the Oscars in about 50 years. And it's not even, it's mildly entertaining for like 12 hours. But the Oscars is so redundant now that this is what makes entertainment, and this is what grabs headlines. So, I mean, people are saying that it was fake. No, I don't buy that for a minute. I think this was genuine. I don't think there's no way this was fake. There's a couple of reasons. I think reason one is Chris Rock and obviously Will Smith are actors, but they're not that good. Chris Rock's reaction when Will Smith slapped him, and when Will Smith, like, you know, shouted at him during, I think it was during the credits, where he said, you know, take your wife's mouth, take your wife's name out of my mouth, out of your mouth, sorry. Chris Rock looked genuinely sort of stumped as to what to say. And this is like a trained comedian, a trained Hollywood actor. If this was staged, they would have a reply ready, you know, ready, loaded to go. And he just looked, he looked like it was awkward because he didn't know what to say. He was really lost for words. And Will Smith genuinely looked angry, even though he was laughing at the joke originally. But then that look from Jada Pinkett Smith kind of like, you know, I think it was her reaction that got the reaction from Will Smith. I think he wasn't, I don't think he really had that much of an issue with the joke, but she looked really pissed. And I think she basically looked at him and said, are you going to stand for that? But yeah, and just not just that, it's the idea that if this was staged, this is the Oscars. If this was staged and the Oscars had any wind of what they were going to do, the Oscars is like ultra woke. Do you think the Oscars would be okay with like a black guy just walking up and smacking another black guy in front of like millions of people? I don't think they'd be good with that. I think they'd be like, no. You need to look at the optics of this. This is not a good idea. And finally, who is this benefiting? Will Smith is not going to benefit from this. Chris Rock may benefit from this, but Chris Rock was the smaller star. So for this to work, it's got to benefit the bigger star, which is Will Smith. Will Smith just won an Oscar. Will Smith doesn't really need to do anything to like enlarge, hype up his career. He's about to win an Oscar. So why would he need to do this? If anything, this has put his career, you know, in jeopardy. So people who are saying this is fake, I don't understand. I just think that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Will Smith is too big a star to like be walking up on stage and slapping people in the face, you know, for a joke. If you're going to come out with the joke immediately afterwards, fair enough, but they didn't do that. So we've got to take this as real. So yeah, I mean, this is real. It just is. I mean, anyone who says it's not real, give me a reason why they would fake this. So that's my Oscars is done. Oscar talk is done. I'm just going to go back through the chat. I'm going to move on to X now. I think talk about X for a while. I did see it tonight. Dan says we have some Irish horror coverage on our next show, Sean. Some Irish representation, Sean. Sean says Will Smith ruined his big night, acted like a douchebag, was completely uncalled for. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, what a point I would make is, can you imagine it was Ricky Gervais who was doing the Oscars, and he'd walked on and slapped Ricky. See, it's all about, optics as well. It's like Chris Rock's. He is smaller than Will Smith, but he's still he looks like a bit of a unit. I mean, I wouldn't fuck with Chris Rock. He looks like, if I tried to take on Chris Rock, he'd fucking wipe the floor with me. Will Smith is obviously a bigger fella, but can you imagine if, like, Will Smith had walked up to, like, Ricky Gervais, who's like a tubby 60-year-old man, and done that? It would look a lot worse. Can you imagine if, like, it was like a 65, 70-year-old man who made that joke? What would he have done? Imagine The Rock. Imagine, like, let's just say it was The Rock. Let's just think The Rock decided to crack a few jokes. Would Will Smith walk up and, like, crack The Rock in the face like that? What would The Rock do? And would Will Smith have the guts to do that? I mean, oh, you resubscribed because oh, right, okay. Oh, so YouTube's doing its own. It's funny you see that, Jamie, because I lost a subscriber a couple of days ago, and I was a bit curious as to why. Because when you've got as few subscribers as me, if you lose a subscriber, you notice it, and it could have been you. I mean, I was on like 61 subs, and it went down to 60. I was like, why has it gone down to 60? Maybe someone unsubscribed, but it's just, maybe it was you. I've had that a lot of times. A lot of the people I'm subscribed to on YouTube, I don't hear nothing from like a couple of months. And when you've got, like, if you subscribe to like a 50, 100 people, it's hard to keep track on everyone you subscribe to, especially if they don't upload all the time. So you kind of forget about them for a while. And there's been a couple of times where I've been subscribed to someone, and I thought, I haven't heard from that person for like a long time, and I've clicked into the channel, and it said subscribe, and I'm like, I fucking was subscribed to that person. Why am I not subscribed to them? But it's just YouTube. YouTube has their strange way of doing things. I think it's at a lower level, I think it's just purely accidental. But at an upper level, when you're talking about people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, YouTube absolutely unsubscribe people from certain channels, because YouTube does not like people being subscribed to certain channels. Now, I won't say any more than that, but I know that for a fact. YouTube is just, it's very, very sort of like particular about who you subscribe to, and they do like to unsubscribe people from certain channels. God, I'm so far behind the chat. Oh my God, Mikey's in the chat. Mikey, what's up, man? Good to see you, man. Jeez, I'm so sorry, Mikey. If you've been in the chat for a while, I apologise. I'm just so far behind. Doom won most of the technical awards. Yeah, that was good to see. I mean, that was a case I was going to make about the Oscars being like, it's very snotty, very snooty, very, nose in the air. We're too good for this. We're too good for that. We're too good for these certain types of films. Dune's okay to win, technical or best cinematography or best action or artwork or whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to, like, actors, directors, supporting actors, oh no, that's a science fiction film. We can't be having that. We need our diverse, film full of deaf people from, like, Norway, set in the 1400s. It's not. I'm just joking. But you get my point. It's like, if you want to win an Oscar, try and be as obscure as possible. Try and be as clever as possible. I mean, I'm not saying these aren't good films, but come on, we all know what the Oscars are like. It wouldn't do for their reputation to have, a mainstream film winning Best Picture, even though it's a mainstream film. It's what majority of people like. And, Dune, which I've not seen, but by all accounts, it's a very, well-made film, very well-acted film, with very good cinematography, with very good storyline. Why couldn't it win Best Picture? But, it is what it is. The Oscars is the Oscars, and they are very, very particular. Ben Grins, I'm so far, God, I'm so far behind the chat. I need to keep up with the chat because I'm just ignoring the chat, and I really need to keep up because Jamie says they can't even know how to class is something else. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if in an ideal world, Nightmare on Elm Street 5 would be enough for Best Picture in 1989 or 1990. But it's not an ideal world, Jamie, so what can we do? Daniel says, I wonder what happened if Rock kept going with more charges. Fucking nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened with... yeah, if you're going to slap The Rock, man, he's like, what, 6'4", like 250 pounds? Will Smith's a big guy, but he's not that big. Yeah, Chris Rock's a little guy. Imagine if it'd been Kevin Hart, he probably would have like roundhoused him in the face, let alone slapped him. But you know, anyway, moving on. Oh, slash home video. Oh my God, Slasher, man. What's your real name, Slasher Home Video? Because I think Piz mentioned it on our live stream tonight, but I don't like calling people by the YouTube name. So is it Chris? Is your name Chris? If it's Chris, let me know. And if it's not Chris, tell me your real name, because I don't like to refer to people as by, you know, I don't like to say, oh, Slasher Home Video, what's up? Because I know who you are, I know your face. So I like to like sort of put the name to the face, and I honestly cannot remember whether you were Chris, whether that was the somebody else. But good to see you on board, man. Sean says Blade Runner is my favorite film to see. Was so good. It was. I mean, Blade Runner 2049, kind of. It's not. It got rave reviews and was loved by a lot of people, but I always feel like it does suffer from that. The idea that the original film was so good and so beloved by a lot of people that there's a lot of people out there in the community who, not our community, but just in general, I'm talking about like the general community, who love Blade Runner so much, the 82 version, that they may love the 2049 version, but they always feel reluctant to admit it, and they'll kind of like knock it, and they'll go, well, it was okay, but it wasn't this, it wasn't that. And I do feel like that's sometimes a problem with being such an iconic like original movie like Blade Runner was. It's very difficult for like the hardcore fans to get on board with a sequel that's, if not as good, almost as close to it being, as you know, almost close to it, which I think Blade Runner 2049 was damn close to the original. And let's face it, if I'd been born in like, you know, 1999 or something, I would probably like the sequel more than the original. But yeah, it's one of them. I just think that, you know, you can be too good for your own good, if that makes sense. If you can be too good of an original film, that the hardcore elements of fans really hate on anything that comes after it because they're just so in love with the original. I suppose Star Wars is, I mean, I wouldn't use Star Wars as New Hope. Obviously, a lot of people adore New Hope, and obviously Empire Strikes Back is a lot of people's favourites. I think with the Star Wars trilogy, a lot of people love the original trilogy, and then when the prequel trilogy came out, a lot of those hardcore fans hated on the prequel trilogy and said it wasn't Star Wars. I think a lot of the same people now, and I'm no way condoning the Disney trilogy because it's an absolute clusterfuck, disastrous trilogy. It's horrendous. But I think a lot of the same people who like shit on the prequel trilogy back in like the early 2000s, I think a lot of those same people are shitting on the Disney trilogy whilst bigging up the prequel trilogy now because it was George Lucas, because they hate Disney that much. And I'm no big fan of Disney, but they hate Disney that much that it's kind of like, okay, we hated the prequel trilogy back in the day, but at the end of the day, at least it was George Lucas, and George Lucas is being treated disrespectfully by Disney, so we're going to love this now. We're not going to love it, but we're going to like it. We're going to like it a lot more than we did, and we're going to big up the prequel trilogy and hate on the Disney trilogy. And, you know, at the end of the day, I've never like come round to the prequel trilogy. I think the prequel trilogy is just fucking garbage. I think the Disney trilogy is even worse garbage. Force Awakens isn't bad, but Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker is just one of the biggest disasters I've ever seen. I actually think it's worse than Last Jedi. But yeah, I mean, I just think, and I've completely gone on a tangent again. That was from one question from Sean. Sean, don't distract me with these questions, please. Please. I'm joking. But I'm just like, I'm trying to get to the next topic, and I've just got like a 10-minute rant about Star Wars. James says, "Do you have a DVD Blu-ray collection?" I've got a DVD collection, Jamie, but I can't display it because, Jamie, you know the score, man. I think I don't need to explain to you, because I think like a lot of the American guys, living in the UK, I don't know about your like setup, but I live in a 2-bedroom terraced house, which damn well what that means. It means lack of space. So I've got like 2 bedrooms, 1 living room, a kitchen, and a loft. So basically, so my loft is my like sort of area where I store all my physical media, but you can't see it because it's tucked up away at the top of above the bedroom. So I can't display it. I've got like 400-500 DVDs, which are collected from the late 90s to the late noughties. When Blu-ray came out, this kind of coincided with me getting a mortgage on a house. So, and obviously I've got a son who at this point was like 4 or 5 years old. It all kind of coincided with like me, spending a lot of money on other shit, on stuff that matters. I mean, I wish physical media mattered as much as it did to me, but at the end of the day, it doesn't. It can't, because I've just got other stuff that matters more. Putting a roof over my head and over my son's head and my wife's head. That's come priority. In a few years, it will become possible. Like as time goes on, my son will probably move out. His bedroom becomes spare, and that would eventually become, like a man cave, the way a lot of you guys have it. That would become an area where it would be like a 4K TV with physical media everywhere and posters. At the minute, that's not possible. It sucks, but what can you do? It's just the way it is. I mean, yeah, I was an avid collector of DVDs back in the day. And to be honest, and to be fair, I mean, I don't know about you guys, Jamie and everyone else in the chat. I kind of feel like bypassing Blu-ray is not really a big deal for me, because I kind of, everything I want to own up until like 2008, I own on DVD, which is enough for me. When I do eventually get back into the collecting game, it's probably going to go straight to, I'm probably going to bypass Blu-ray and just go to 4K, and I will just like hoover up the films of the last sort of like 30-40 years that I really want to see in 4K, and that will do me. That's me done. I'm okay with that. And then 10 years from now, physical media will no longer be a thing anyway, probably. So it's sad to say, but that's what it is. So yeah, yes, it's a little bit depressing, but it is what it is. Sean says, once they start streaming, I'll be doing a Blade Runner song. I'm saying for the sequel. A Blade Runner song for everyone, Sean? You're going to be live streaming? I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a minute. We need a face reveal, Sean. Dan says, I'm so burnt out on Star Wars. Yeah, it's the whole Marvel Star Wars streaming. It's getting boring now. It's just so tired. I mean, they've got this Moonfall, the new TV show, and you've just had the fucking Boba Fett just looked like an absolute disaster. Boba Fett, yeah, okay, I'm going to go on another rant now, totally going off topic. Boba Fett, the most iconic, well, obviously the second most iconic villain, in my opinion, after Darth Vader, at the original Star Wars trilogy. how do we make him less iconic? Oh, well, here's what we'll do. We'll place him 5 minutes after Return of the Jedi, and he's a 65-year-old New Zealand with no hair and like really white teeth. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Oh my god! It's just like Boba Fett. It's like less is more with people. I mean, with certain characters. Less is more with like Michael Myers. If you get what I'm saying, less is more with like I won't go into a whole Michael Myers argument debate. Less is more when it comes to Boba Fett. We got a little glimpse of him in Empire Strikes Back and a little glimpse of him in Return of the Jedi. That's all we needed. That's all I fucking needed anyway. I didn't need to see a TV show. I didn't need to see him appear in, the prequel trilogy. And I just, I don't mean to knock, like, I mean, I've got nothing against people from New Zealand, but I don't want, like, Boba Fett to go, get him dead. All right, mate. All right, mate. He's got this, like, New Zealand. I want the original Boba Fett with, like, that robotic accent. Just, Piss is in the chat. What's up, man? Piss. It's a privilege, man. Jesus, everyone's here tonight. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't want that fucking, Disney just kills me, man. Disney kills me. I don't want New Zealand Boba Fett. I don't want old Boba Fett. I don't want bald Boba Fett. I don't want Boba Fett with big bright white teeth. I want Boba Fett behind the fucking mask, saying as little as possible and disappearing off screen and never coming back. Thank you, Disney Star Wars. You just ruined my childhood again. Fucking hell. It's just like they just keep on. I know they paid £4 billion for this stuff. So they are gonna destroy it. They're gonna destroy everything. Fucking hell. Yeah. So yes. Anyway, I'm rambling again. On to X. Jesus Christ. It took me 40 minutes to get onto the next topic. I see one comment that winds me up and I start getting on a fucking. Dan's gonna now. Dan says I'm just gonna wind me up now. They're gonna make sure if the new player. Oh my god! You know what I see? I will get to X. I'm just gonna like eventually. I'm gonna say something again now. Someone made a really good comment on a YouTube video. It was like, why? At what point did they stop making like X is an exception? No, actually, X is not an exception. No, it is an exception because 2 of the 3 are hot. But when did like horror films stop making like putting hot girls in lead roles? And they're related to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and just like like okay, we had a hot blonde who gets killed off very early on, but like what happened to like the good old days where like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the 2003 with Jessica Biel, just next level hotness. What happened to that? Is that like problematic now? Can we no longer have like really really hot girls, playing the lead roles of like in horror films? Because like I just kind of feel like Jessica Biel now in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film would be like problematic because she's just like too fucking hot. But it is what it is. Anyway, onto X. Finally, onto X. Finally. Yeah, I do like the film. I do like the film. I watched it in an empty cinema. Like it was me and 2 other people, which I'm just glad there was someone else in the cinema because when you're in a cinema and it's like virtually empty and like the ushers come in just to check on things. The idea like if it just being me, just me and nobody else, and I'm in the cinema and like that, old age sex scenes going on, and the usher walks in, and it's just me watching it like studiously, and they're like, "You fucking weirdo." That would have been awkward. Luckily, there was two other people. This film's done quite well on the box office in the UK. I mean, it's 2 weeks in. It's at 5:10. 5:10 in the afternoon. I wasn't expecting anyone to be. I was surprised there was even 2 other people in there. But yeah, that scene was so hot. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one. I mean, I was just like, oh my god, I can't. I knew about it from like watching Region 3. I knew it was coming. No pun intended. But I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I was like, oh my god, this is just. And I had no idea that. Oh my god, let me get back to. Mia Goth was Pearl. I had no idea. I just thought it was just like I was like, who are playing it? Old people? The old guy apparently is only 58 in real life. I think he's 58. He's not that old. And obviously Mia Goth is like playing, Pearl. I'm like, who have they got to play these roles? Holy shit! But yeah, so it all makes sense now. But just I spent far too long in the build up to this. So, Jonathan's in the chat. What's up, John? I've just missed his. Did I miss any good Jada jokes? No, not really. I was very brief for that. I had a little bit of a rant about it, but you didn't miss much. I spent most of the time complaining about Disney Star Wars. I think. So video. Did I miss? So I'm going to go back there very, very, very briefly. I missed. Yeah, sorry. My experience was me and one young girl accidentally made eye contact with a spectre. We both were quite in shame. Yeah, luckily that wasn't the case. I mean, I can only imagine what it'd be like to watch this film in a busy cinema. There'd be a lot of awkward sort of what the hell. Yeah, but Dan says Lorna's bearing his demon slip covered on the community stream. That wouldn't surprise me. In terms of, I'm going to focus now. Focus, Mike. Focus. So the film was. I enjoyed the film. I don't think it's quite at the level that maybe some people are putting it. I mean, I don't think anyone's really putting it like. Nobody's really saying it's a 9 out of 10 or a 5 out of 5. A lot of people are giving it like a 4, 8. For me, it's like a 3.5. It's a 3.5 out of 5 film. I really like. I've just made a list notes of the names because I literally just saw the film tonight, so I'm trying to keep track. I loved Wayne. Martin Henderson, who played Wayne. I thought he was in. I knew I'd seen the face before, and he was in Strangers Pray at Night. He was one of the parents. Mia Goth as Maxine's Mia Goth as Maxine. This is going to be spoilers, obviously. I would have liked to have seen Jenny Ortega as the final girl rather than Mia Goth. I thought she was a bit of a bitch, and I didn't particularly like her. I understand why they went that way because the film opens with her and it finishes with her, but I think Jenny Ortega as more of like it made more sense to me with the innocence of the character. Mia Goth, the whole purpose of the film obviously was like, obviously the elderly couple, there was a lot of resentment towards the younger generation. And if any film really warranted the virgin surviving, it's probably this film. And although she wasn't a virgin in the film, obviously she filmed the sex scene with Kid Cudi, and obviously she was already in a relationship. She was a lot more innocent than the other two women in the film, which with the way the film was set up, it kind of made more sense for her to be the final girl. But so I was I would prefer to see her survive rather than Mia Goth, but it is what it is. Obviously, a scene I think people mentioned before I'd seen the film. A lot of people mentioned the alligator scene. That was a really, really good shot. The overhead shot. I mean, that scene created tension that we didn't really see throughout the rest of the film. I mean, the worst scenes in the film where the tension was created, but I mean, nothing can really come close to that. I mean, the fact that like the antagonists in the film are so old as well, you don't really get that sense of danger with them. With that scene with the alligator, oh my god! I mean, it's very. There were a couple of scenes which I think were kind of ripped off from other films. And like they say, if you're gonna steal from the best. And he did steal out. Jess in the chat. Jess, what's up, man? I see you on board. They did steal from Jaws with the alligator shot. Obviously, the famous scene from Jaws where the two fishermen go fishing, and he's scrabbling up. In this film, she doesn't know she's being stalked, obviously, but it's very reminiscent. They steal from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, obviously. I'm going to say, steal from the best, which is what they've done. A scene, obviously, at the beginning, where in the doorway, it's very reminiscent of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where Wayne is in the doorway, trying to get the guy's attention. That is very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And a couple of scenes later as well, Mia Goth's character is looking over towards the house, and you see Pearl stood just in front of the house. That is very reminiscent of, like, obviously, Halloween, where Tommy's looking out of the window and you see Michael just stood. It's just like reflected onto the house. So yeah, there's 3 scenes there straight off. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jaws, and Halloween. All 70s movies as well. And they've ripped off 3 of the greatest films of all time. So I haven't got an issue with that. But I mean, this film, it doesn't quite live up to those expectations. I did feel like the Kid Cudi's death, not Kid Cudi's death, sorry, Brittany Snow's death by Alligator. I just thought that was a bit cheap. I mean, I haven't got an issue with the alligator. I mean, I love the scene with the alligator, overhead, with that shot. I think that really adds to the film. But the whole inclusion of the alligators, okay, you might get alligators in Texas. I thought you got them in, like, Florida and places like that. Maybe if you get them in Texas, my bad. But the death of Brittany Snow's character, it just felt a bit cheap. I just like an alligator death in an A24 film. Where you put A24 does try and be a little bit more artistic in what it does, and just pushing someone in, and then the alligator just instantly appears, and it's like, it's not really realistic. I'm not really sure about that. But besides that, nice gore. Certainly, the head squashing scene at the end was very, very nice. RJ's death was a lot more, because I'd been led to believe that it wasn't that bloody a movie. And I was actually taken quite aback by it. I think it's fairly bloody for the cinema release. RJ's death is certainly bloody, but in terms of, like, looking back now, I can see that maybe it wasn't set in Texas. When I watched the trailer, I was like, holy shit, this is set in New Zealand. But when I watched the film, from start to finish, I was like, yeah, it's lacking something. It's just lacks. There's something about the film. It looks. A lot of the film is set indoors. There's a few outdoor scenes, but it looks very overcast, which is like what I always thought about New Zealand. It's like, it's always fucking cloudy in New Zealand. They don't get that searing sort of, like, hot sun that Texas gets on a regular basis. But in terms of, like, getting that sort of, like, America, it tends to get the feel of 79 across. I definitely got that. Not to the point of House of the Devil. House of the Devil, I genuinely, if someone had played that film to me, I would have thought, said, and not give me any idea about when the film was made. I could have genuinely believed that was film set in the early 80s. Someone played this film to me and said, guess what year? I would have gone with, the 2020s or the 2010s. It didn't quite nail. It was just something about it. I think it was the color scheme, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but it did a good job. And yeah, all in all, X, I think, in terms of, like, X for me, it's a good film. I don't think it's a great film. I think it's a solid 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of what we've had in the last, few months, I think it's got to be. We should be grateful. I mean, we should be grateful that A24 are putting films like this out and they're getting cinema releases, because in this day and age, we need to be great. I mean, I could have passed on this and waited for a physical release, wait for it to drop on streaming. But I made the effort. It'd been out 2 weeks, and I don't like to go to a cinema when it's nobody in there. I liked that shared experience, but I did it anyway. And at least my £10 has made some sort of input into their box office, which is a good thing, So yeah, I mean, Piss says you're not a real horror fan, Mike. I know I'm not. I'm not Piss. I'm not. I'm not. No, I'm not a true horror fan. I mean that honestly in a way, because I am just like the sort of average Joe, slasher. Just give me a slasher film. Give me a slasher film. Give me more slasher films. I want Friday the 13th, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in 1 year. Do I want a thoughtful, intelligent horror film? Well, I'll watch it, but I'd still rather have 18 Friday the 13th movies in that same time period. So yeah, I get it. unashamedly. Dan says, Ortega's Thomas as a final girl. Maybe, I suppose. Slasher says, Ortega's cat took note that she burned my man. She did get a bit annoying at the end. I must admit, the final sort of when she's trying to escape, when Mia Goth rescues her, she acts like a complete dick. And at that point, I kind of lost all sympathy for her. And I was it was at that point where I thought, right, so she's not going to be the final girl. I think up until that point, I thought she might be the final girl. But when she did react the way she did, I was like, all right, okay. Yeah, Mia Goth's definitely going to be the final girl in this. It's a tragic love story, says Ben. She needed sexual... Oh, God. Don't get me onto that sexual healing. Oh, my God. So I swear, I'm pretty sure there was some quick at the end, and it was the gate of being nipped. Is it? Maybe. There could be. I might have missed it. It did feel a little bit like they kind of knew. I definitely feel that, obviously they've killed before, and Gators obviously just dispose of bodies. That's a given. The guy tied up when if someone can, I'm pretty sure about this. General Ortega's character, when she's locked up underneath in the cellar, there's a dead body tied up. That is not RJ, is it? Is that RJ? Is that another character? Because I'm pretty sure that the hair, it wasn't. The hair's different. The hair's not as long. No, it's not. It can't be RJ actually, because RJ was discovered after the events of that. Yeah, so it's not. So yeah, so they have basically killed multiple people, and every time someone comes to town, the same shit goes down, and obviously the Gators just dispose of the bodies. DJ says, I just want to be entertained by movies. I think everyone does, DJ. Unfortunately, it's becoming a bit more and more difficult by the day. Movies now want to dictate what we like and what we don't like, and got too much of an opinion, in my opinion. Slasher films all day. Yeah, I agree, Jamie. Right, on to... Right, okay. I was going to briefly discuss Chucky season 2. Oh, no, we're going to talk about It, the prequel. This has just dropped today. Apparently a prequel series to It. But before I go into that, I just want to just drop onto something. I was watching, if Jess is still in the chat, watching your live stream with Lorne last night. Just really, really sort of resonated with me, because I was watching this. I watched the beginning and then rewatched it today, and just Lorne was talking about, obviously, live streaming, starting the community streams, you know, when he did, I think it was in 2020. And then obviously from that, you know, spawned kind of like more streams, you know, like, I mean, Jay was streaming, Hayden was streaming, you started streaming, fucking, God, Steak started streaming, Jamie started streaming. And I was just like, kind of like, I just like got it kind of like really had an impact on me because, you know, if someone who's like started streaming, you know, last January, was it? With He Who Shall Not Be Named, my first stream. It was just, I'm just trying to like sort of scratching my head. I'm scratching my head. I honestly cannot like recall like how the whole thing came about in terms of like getting onto everyone's channels, because it may make more sense to other people. But so obviously I've been following Piz's channel for, you know, 10 years or so, following the Sausage Factory, and, you know, Region 3, whatnot. And that was pretty much it. I mean, I think obviously through maybe the Region 3, I might have subscribed to the Lawrence channel, but I'm not really sure I was following what he was doing. And then obviously kind of like the end, obviously I started doing Piz's Patreon streams like once a month. That was like April, that was right at the beginning of lockdown. So that was like April 2020 going forward. But I was literally just doing the Patreon streams like once a month. And at some point around the end of 2020, going into 2021, and I don't know how it happened, I just kind of all of a sudden started watching all these like crazy late night streams with like, you know, Jay and Hayden, and obviously Lauren. I think you were doing like more like, I think I was probably watching yours obviously earlier in the evening, because I think yours were less frequent as well. But and then Jamie, and then I remember watching one of Jamie's streams. I'm like, I'm trying to work how I got from A to B to C to D to how I got onto everyone's channel, because I guess I must have been subscribed to Jay, but I just don't know how I got onto onto all the other channels. I remember watching like Jamie. I mean, I remember like I was in like an email group with a lot of you guys, and I had the idea, you know what, I want to go live. I want to go do a live stream. I want to do a live stream and, you know, do my own thing. And I thought I'll reach out to like one of the people who I was like connected with on the Patreon stream. Unfortunately, that was He Who Shall Not Be Named. So like, you know, did a live stream with him, and then obviously like I think a week or two later I was watching Jamie's stream, and then she called out said person as being like, you know, a bit of a stalker and this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh shit. But like, I don't even know how. But yeah, I don't know how. I mean, how did I even get to Jamie's channel? I don't even know. I don't know. I guess I was subscribed to Jay's channel. So that somehow led me to Hayden's channel, which led me to Jess's channel, maybe, and obviously Steak's channel, and then somehow I ended up on Jamie's channel, and Corey's as well. But I'm just like, I'm totally oblivious as to how I got from like A to B to C to D. But I mean, it's just, you know, it was really enjoyable. Live stream last night. I must admit, you know, talking about the Dan, because when did you like come on the live streams, Dan? Because I don't know if I think you were there round about the time. I think, when did you how did you become part of the community? I mean, did you sort of like just jump on one of Jay's streams or Hayden's? I'm just like a bit, I mean, I'm lost. I'm just totally lost. I can't for the life of me work out how it all came to be. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, Jamie, I mean, at the first I was aware of that was, I think I've mentioned this on another stream, whether you saw the stream or not. Obviously, me and Piz were doing our thing, and Laura and that on Piz's page on stream, and Al was jumping on there. I'll try not to mention the name. And then, I was doing that for like about like 6-7 months, and it was round towards, it was at the end of, it was just around the time all you guys were starting to do live streams, and you're all jumping on each other's streams and that. And I think I just started to get on your streams, like in the chat, not like physically. And I think watching, like I said, I think I mentioned on Jess's comments for Lauren's stream last night. I think that kind of gave me the the sort of push to like sort of, well, I want to do this myself. I want to go and talk about why I want to talk about, and not like control the channel. But it's like, if you're on a stream with like 8 other people, you're struggling sometimes to get a word in, and sometimes you want to like just take the time and just put your own point across, and obviously if other people jump on, that's all the better. But occasionally you just want to be able to like put your thoughts across without anyone else sort of like butting in, and that was kind of like what I wanted. The idea for like a stream where it's like, take a subject and just talk about it in depth with someone, just one-to-one. And obviously I thought like with the Patreon streams going through 2020, Al was just like, he just seemed like of all the people who like were on board, he kind of like resonated to me, because he was kind of like me. He didn't have a channel. He was just recording through his phone. So a lot of the other guys who were on the live streams, they were like, they had proper channels and they had like, proper setups. And I thought, I can't reach out to these guys to do like a live stream, because they were like, who are you? You've got no subscribers, you've got no channel. So I thought, I'll reach out to Al. Seems like a decent guy. And I thought, we'll talk about like Friday the 13th, and we did that video, and it went really well. I mean, it's still one of the best performing videos I've ever had. It's got like 600, 700 views. I mean, to think Friday the 13th in the name helps. But, and after that, obviously, I think about a week later, I watched your stream, and I was like, I didn't watch it live, I watched it recorded, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, and because you mentioned his name, it's like, oh, and the funny thing is like, before you said his name, I kind of had an inkling that you were going to say his name, and I was like, I've got a feeling he's going to say Al. And I was like, and when you did, I was like, oh fuck. And I remember I remember sending a message saying, I've just done a live stream with the guy. What they would do? They were follow up next week and pretend nothing's happened, so not to like alert him to what's going on, or to just say, listen, I can't do it. And I think you just said, do what you think's best. And luckily he never got back in touch. He never like said, oh, what's happening to part 2, because we were meant to be doing a part 2. So I kind of like dodged the bullet there. But yeah, so that was kind of like my introduction to like live streaming. But after that, I thought, you know what, it's like, even though that's been a bit of a bad experience in terms of like who I live stream with, it was still enjoyable. Just I had like Timmy Lost Cunningham. He was like, I mean, I think when I did the live stream, I had like 4 subscribers, something like that. And I think Timmy Lost Cunningham, he commented in the live stream, and I was like so made up. I was like so excited. I was like, oh my god, somebody's watching. And then obviously we just wound up the live stream, and then obviously, a few weeks later, a fair few months of people have watched the live stream, or watched, maybe the first 10 minutes. But obviously being connected to all you guys, through all your channels, everyone like sort of like a community, like the way it is on here, everybody like sort of, everyone bigs each other up, everyone like plugs each other's channels, if it's through Twitter or through Facebook or YouTube, and it's just a big help. And it's just, everybody like Dan and Jess and everyone else, just they push the channel, and we'll push their channels, and it's just, yeah. I mean, it's just, I just want to like sort of like double down on what Lorne said last night, basically on Jess's channel. It's just like a really good thing. And I mean, I've said it before. If COVID was responsible for one good thing, it's this, because without COVID, I probably would never have gone on Piz's Patreon. I mean, who knows? Maybe Piz wouldn't have even started doing the Patreon streams without COVID. I don't know. Maybe he started them before that. But I mean, I think I noticed as well, like during COVID, Piz just started streaming a lot more as well, which is, a lot more people came to the community that way as well. Because Piz never really, I mean, I've been an avid watcher of Piz's channel for like years, and he never used to do that many live streams, but like when COVID hit, he was just live streaming like all the time. And I think that's it just became a thing. And like I say, everybody started live stream, and yeah, so it's just, yeah, live streaming. COVID was responsible for one good thing, then this is it. So I will be eternally grateful for that. So Jesus, I think I said like, he's crazy, be careful, and back away slowly. So I think they say we should always blame, we'll all just blame Piz. DJ, solo streams over with people. I've missed the context of that question. Streams get to get your thoughts out there and speak to the people with similar interests, especially when people don't like, haha. Yeah, Jamie, definitely with you on that one. Anthony says, I stumbled across Piz's channel and found others from there. Anthony, if I've not said hello, I'm not sure if you jumped on after I started like ranting, but I can't remember if I acknowledged you in the chat or what. DJ says, I think Sky, when you did Halloween stream. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I think that's referring to Hal. I wish YouTube would recommend. YouTube's a minefield. I mean, YouTube is just. If you don't know how the algorithms work, you're never gonna work it out. I mean, YouTube. I don't understand. I mean, very few people understand YouTube and how it works. I mean, it's because it's constantly changing. I mean, someone like my channel is never going to hit any algorithms, obviously, but I mean, I've seen channels with like a couple of thousand subscribers, and they've got the thumbnails down to a T. They've got like the great cameras. They've got like the audio. They're making good content, and they're getting like 1,000 views, 2,000 views a video, and I'm like, how the hell are these not? How are they not like hit? How are they not doing it? I'm like, I don't understand. But I mean, in a way, maybe is that a good thing or a bad thing? A point I was going to make before I go on to talk about it. One point about YouTube channels now, like this YouTube channel is just like cheap as it gets. But I like to think that by at least going live and talking about trying to like have conversations and talk about stuff, it's a little bit different than some of the stuff that goes on. I think with a lot of the YouTube channels, especially with the horror YouTube channels, which I've like kind of clicked on in the last sort of 6 to 12 months, there is an issue with like, if an algorithm means you're successful, then people are going to like jump on the algorithm and just like go with what works. And when I say that, what I mean by that is like there are a lot of like horror channels, and to an extent, other channels as well, where it looks amazing. The studio's fantastic. They've got the setup down to a T. The audio's great, the visuals are great, and the editing's great. But they'll do X movie review, or they'll do Halloween Kills movie review. The thumbnail will be enticing, and it'll be a 6-7 minute video, and they will say nothing about the film. It will just be the most generic video you've ever seen. but it looks good, it sounds good, the thumbnail brings you in. But when you leave the video, you're left without any sort of any idea like whether you're not even aware like really what their opinion was of the film. It's all sound bites, if that makes any sense. It's like it's kind of like soulless. The review, it's like a soulless review where it's like, so it looks good and it sounds good, but it's like it's almost like it's like a Justin Bieber song. Nice production, sounds good, but it's got nothing to say and it's dog shit. Rather than you could have someone on. I mean, case in point. Take someone like former member of the Sausage Factory, Rambo Raff. He streams through like a potato. His quality's arguably worse than mine. Doesn't stream with like in great quality. Doesn't have like a great setup. Just sits in front of it. Just sits on a bed, whatever. He was live streaming last night. He had like 200 people watching, which is insane for. I mean, his channel's got like he's not an unsuccessful channel. He's got like 17,000 subscribers, but 200 people watching for that's a lot. Anybody who knows YouTube, if you've got 16,000 subs, to have 200 people watching is a lot, hell of a lot. So he's garnered that following over time. It's taken him a long time to do it. He's been on YouTube for like years and years and years, but over time he's gained that trust of the viewer. So when he goes live, people are engaged and they know they're not going to get some sort of bullshit nonsense answer. He's really honest, he's raw with his answers, because he's not beholden to like some sort of YouTube algorithm. He does what he does. And if more people followed his, I mean, he's like old school YouTube. He really is. I mean, he's like old. It's like he's kind of like YouTube used to be back in the day, where you could become successful with without like amazing camera work and audio. And that's not to knock his channel. I mean, he'd be the first to admit that. I think he's even said with his internet connection, he just can't get like amazing quality. But yeah, I mean, I say like there's a lot of YouTube channels out there who are just chasing the views, chasing the algorithm, and they just put out stuff that they don't even believe in themselves. And I'm like, I'd like to think that if I had the ability to edit and record good audio and good, which I can't, so it's not going to be an issue. But I'd like to think that I would stay true to myself and not like sell out to like the main, not the mainstream, but you understand my point. And that's another thing. YouTube removing the dislike button as well has just really made it more awkward as well, because like, how are you supposed to like take anything into account anymore if you can't see how many downvotes it's got? It's not so much an issue with like watching, a YouTube video of like some reviewing a horror film, but just going completely off points again. If like YouTube removing the dislike button is like, if you want to like learn how to like, wire a plug and you just want to learn it quickly, YouTube is like, invaluable. You just go on YouTube, click it. It's like, well, okay, it's got like 37,000 likes, 4 dislikes. That's a reliable source of information. Now, you're like, well, this could be complete bullshit and it could be telling me the wrong information. But YouTube, in their wisdom, didn't want to offend anybody, even though you can still see the dislikes if you're a YouTube creator anyway. So it defeats the object. But yeah, anyway, that's But besides, but yeah, too many YouTubers making too much similar content, chasing views, chasing the algorithm. It's getting a bit annoying now. So yeah, I just tend to stick with what I know now. That's the thing. It's like, isn't it? People like Piz, I trust because I've been with them since back in the day. Lorne doesn't do reviews in general of like horror movies, but if he did have an opinion, I would take that into account because I know he's a genuine person. A lot of these people on YouTube, no. A lot of these, if they're flashy and this, that, and the other, and it's just all special effects and stuff. I'm skeptical, and a lot. Some of these YouTubers now, some of these bigger YouTubers, they're taking that. They're definitely getting some of that YouTube money, and they're giving favourable review for stuff that maybe isn't that good. So, we go for what are we going for? Like nearly an hour and 17 minutes. Jesus Christ. Slasher says, if it equivalent of cult cinema, this is what YouTube wants people to see. It's just more genuine. Yeah, exactly. Ben says, give them a second chance. They let you in with worse on your rap sheet. It wasn't hot too much, but he factored into my favourite plant. I've totally missed some of the chat here. I do apologise. The chat went really quiet. So I kind of just started off on a bit of a rant, and the fucking chat's like gone fucking nuts again. Jess says, business stressful place. How are you, DJ? By it. I just want to shout out to DJ. By DJ's been in. DJ's like proper old school. If anyone doubts DJ's commitment to the cause, DJ's been around in the Sausage Factory since back before I was watching it. So yeah, DJ's the man. Where was I up to in the chat? DJ says everybody's live streaming nowadays. Not well, yeah. I mean, you're right, but I mean, in terms of the community we're in, it's dying down a little bit. I do miss Jay's live streams, man. Jay's like crazy live streams where he just him and Hayden like 9 o'clock in the morning UK time, and they'd be like just doing crazy shit. It's just like, I mean, I guess it's not possible all the time, but I missed late night streams, but I can stay overnight tonight. So I guess it was a moment in time. I suppose like those we're talking about 12 months ago. Like it was like almost like at a period of time like the 80s or the 90s, but those very very late 2020s, very very late 2020, early 21 was kind of like going into up until summer 2021. Yeah, it was good times, though. Jess says, watching the Sausage Factory, then joining the chat with something to other region free channels leads to getting on large channel viewing shows. Yeah, I actually love Sausage Factory back in the day. I love Sausage Factory, so good. Jay, Christian, Dan, Source, Jonathan, Jake, Org, Piz, you making so forth. Exactly. Dominic Flicks is next to AJ now. Dominic Flicks? I don't know Dominic Flicks. To check that out. Dan says we said suggest only fans and crippling cocaine addiction. Okay, right, enough of that. Let's move on to so we've got an It prequel, which I'm not really sure how I feel about this. Are you guys aware of this? I think this dropped today. So I'm just gonna share this because I've literally not even read the article myself. But I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. I think this is bloody disgusting. You've shared this. Yeah, bloody disgusting. So this dropped today. After two movies that collectively pulled in $1 million at the box office, it looks like Pennywise is heading back to the small screen with a brand new prequel series. Jeff Snyder breaks the massive news that a series tentatively titled Welcome to Derry is in development at HBO Max. The series would likely explore the origin story of Pennywise the Clown, as well as the dawn of the 27-year curse that haunted the small Maine town. The report goes on to state that while the project hasn't been officially greenlit, Schneider's sources are telling that a writer's room has been convened for the project. The series will begin in the 1960s, in the time leading up to the events of It Part 1. Well, that was 1958. We're just going to ignore the book now. It was 1958, not 1960 something. What the fuck? Hang on. Whoa, hold on a minute. Hang on. In the film, the build-up is 1989. In the book, it's 1958. So what are you talking about, bloody disgusting? Or Variety? That makes no sense. It's 1958 or it's 1989. It's not 1960 something. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Published in 1986, Stephen King's massive novel was, of course, first turned into a mini-series in 1990, with Tim Curry playing the role. Tale centers on the town of Derry, Maine, where a group of friends called the Losers Club battle Pennywise the Clown as kids and then 27 years later as adults. Welcome Today will be the first time any adaptation has expanded beyond the confines of King's classic novel, which is pretty exciting for fans of the terror tale. Stay tuned. So there's very little to go on there. Very little to go on. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, thoughts, guys? Thoughts? I mean, in terms of a prequel, I mean, at least are they going to acknowledge the fact that like Pennywise is like an extra dimensional being who is like pure evil and is like they're not going to try and humanize him, are they, in some way? Because to the best of my knowledge, Pennywise is just evil incarnate and just like is from like a time out of time and not beyond space. So I mean, to not even get like they definitely got the year. I mean, yeah, 1958 is the events of the first book, not any time in the 60s. At least get that right. I mean, Stephen King. How much money is Stephen King making yearly now? He must be making an absolute fortune. I mean, he must be making similar money to what he was making in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, I'm guessing the 2000s he maybe had a bit of a quiet period in terms of like money making because he wasn't really releasing much. But every man and his dog now just wants a piece of Stephen King. Holy shit! When he dies, I mean, who gets the estate? Is his family? Oh my god! They'll be putting arsenic in his freaking soup the way it's going. But anyway, that's it. I mean, there's very little to go on there. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, like I say, I was never the biggest Stephen King fan growing up. I mean, I like some of the films, I like some of the books, but I'm not the sort of person who is like really protective of what they do to his, his name. If this turns out to be a complete disaster, it's not as if like Stephen King hasn't had, pieces of shit written and directed in his name before. It's par for the course for Stephen King. So I'm not expecting, if it's bad, it's bad. Like, who's really going to care? But I mean, I suppose with Stephen King now, it's fair game. Everything's fair game. They're just going to be going after. He is the cash cow now at the minute. I mean, you've got the Firestarter remake dropping in the next couple of months. So I mean, my God, it's like they're going to be going for everything. Everything that Stephen King's ever written is basically probably going to see a re-release in the next couple of years. I mean, even some of the, like the Dark Half from the early 90s, which was That got a cinema release in the early 90s, and that was terrible. If stuff like that gets a remake, I mean, my God. Maximum Overdrive, yeah, I would be down for a Maximum Overdrive remake. I mean, as much as I love the first film, I'm down for more Maximum Overdrive. With it, because I don't really give a damn about Maximum Overdrive. I think I enjoyed the film, but it's just an enjoyable, nonsense film. And they kill a kid in that film as well with a steamroller, which was interesting for the time. But with it, I am invested in it. I like the first film, or the 1990 movie, if you can call it that. And I like part one of the remake. So I think it's fine the way it is. It's done. You don't need to add any more to it. Maximum Overdrive, you could remake that, and who cares? I mean, it'd be a fun. It's a nonsense idea. It's a nonsense plot. It'd be a fun time. You can't really fuck it up. I mean, it's just set it in a gas station, just have a load of wagons and trucks driving down. I mean, it's a fun time. But Jamie's off to bed. Yeah, Jamie, I'm going to be wrapping things up in a minute anyway, mate. So you're not going to be missing much. Thanks for jumping on, man. Really appreciate it. And next time you stream, man, I'll be there as usual. See, missing the chat. I think is Big Cracker jumped on. Big Cracker jumped on right at the end, just as I'm about to wrap things up. I think it's called Just on OnlyFans, bloody disgusting. Well, that probably would be bloody disgusting, to be fair. I don't particularly care about a Nip prequel. No, me neither. I'm done. I'm done with that. I've seen enough. Yeah, I mean, the clever thing that Stephen King did do when he started, obviously, the novels, he did create this sort of like multiverse in a way, which very forward thinking. If you look at like things are now, it was very forward thinking, because that's the way they like to do things now. They like this sort of multiverse of, like, look at Marvel, you look at, I mean, obviously Star Wars has become kind of like a multiverse with like all the spin-offs. It was a very, very clever idea that he had. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather see a deeper look into some of the other novels than I think it's good for now. Maybe in a few years, but I think it has had its run for like just for now. Maybe look into something else, that he's done, rather than like going right into, like, because obviously it is like probably the cash cow for Stephen King. He that is the main. I mean, is it? It's arguably his biggest selling ever book, maybe. I mean, I'm no expert, mate. I would guess that is probably that, or maybe The Shining is probably his best selling book of all time, or maybe Carrie. But yeah, James off to bed. Yeah, I'm about done now. I've been going for like 90 minutes. I think that's about my limit. It's 1:45 at night now. I think I've covered. I mean, I've gone on longer than probably what I planned to be honest with you. There was a couple of topics which I could have covered, but I might leave till next week, because there's not that much going on at the minute really, where I can probably carry a couple of topics over till next week, unless something major happens, like somebody else gets slapped at the Oscars. Nothing's going to be taking up too much of my time. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up now, guys. I will just, before I go, I will say goodbye to everyone who jumped on. Obviously, Jamie, /Home Video, Jess, Jamie Hart, not Jamie, TH Jamie. You got Jamie's Hart as well. Dan, obviously, Big Crack Rock, Ben, of course. Who else? DJ, obviously. Anthony, of course. God, the chat's gone tonight. It's really gone on. It's gone longer than I thought. Piz jumped on as well. My God. Jonathan as well, Sean. If I'm missing anyone, I do apologise. I've tried to include everyone, but anyway, yeah. If I've missed anyone, I do apologise. I've scrolled for as long as I can. But anyway, I will be back next Tuesday with another live stream. I'm probably gonna couple of uploads coming in the week as well, so check them out. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.